10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good afternoon and welcome to Dr. Surajit Khanna's Returning Youth Radio Show, where we are broadcast live to over 30 million homes. That's right, 30 million homes in the New York area. But we're also on the, you can listen audio at WPAT930am.com. That's WPAT930am.com. But you can also look at our wonderful faces here and see how good looking we all look at facebook.com/Khanna, the number 4 kids. That's Khanna, Kha, and an A, the number 4 kids. We are on the air today with a lot of fun guests. We're going to get to more detailed introductions. Of course, we always welcome the Edward Sargent, the past reporter from the Washington Post, a national paper. Thomas Hassan, an attorney who's been with us before, and we're going to talk a little bit about what he does. Of course, the uncomparable Willie Sanders, who is the media expert who's got us on the air. And we're really, really excited. We're going to get more into it with Angelica Robinson live on set in LA. She's on the set right now, and she is the producer. And I'm telling you, her bio is as long as my arm. I can't get to it, but maybe I'll ask her to do this. So she's going to help me today, just like Edward always does help me. But I've got to tell you a little bit about Dr. Khanna. He's an attorney. He is a child safety advocate and a servant of the underserved. No, he can't be here today, but he is also a champion of the nonprofit organization, Voice of the Kids. He launched his post-incarceration Juvenile Justice Reformation Act initiative. We call this returningyouth.com initiative, returningyouth.com, where we're returning post-incarcerated young adults back to a productive life. You see, Dr. Khanna read through the initiative, which is a law that was first passed in 1974 and then reformed a number of times. Most recently, the Reformation Act was reformed in 2018. It provides money and programs and support in 3 areas: pre-incarceration for stopping crime mostly for minorities, safety of juveniles while incarcerated, and post-incarceration. But basically, it provided very little support for post-incarceration. As a result, Dr. Khanna said, "Hey, I'm going to grab this as my initiative, and we're doing this with Dr. Khanna's Returning Youth campaign." So we are providing these young adults, with housing, training, a job, food, life skills, so they can get a job, get on their feet, and not get back into jail. Because you know as well as I do that there is a stigma to being a post-incarcerated youth, because sometimes you can't get a job. Why? Because you have a record and some companies won't give it to you. So we're going to try to change that and get into it. And as a result, we've been doing this for a while. We now have the radio show. We're expanding into 50 states in 60 days. So if you divide 50 by 60, that's 4 states a day, right? Something like that. I'm not good at math. But anyway, that's kind of what we're doing here. But I do have a very short, I think it's about 90 seconds video from Dr. Khanna. He's traveling. He's actually at an airport. So there's a little bit of noise in the background, but I'm going to show his video now, and we'll please listen to it. And please, again, join us on facebook.com, Khanna for Kids, to see our friends, to see our faces, and share this with your friends. So here is Dr. Khanna.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for listening to us. I'm sorry I can't be physically present. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for listening to us. I'm sorry I can't be physically present in the show today because I'm traveling. I just wanted to let you know that, my dear audience, we are running in a full stream with this 50 states, 60 days rollout plan. We started this on Monday, this Monday, and Gary can highlight more about this rollout plan. But on this 60 days, 50 states, we have already covered several states. And as I said, Gary can give you all the list since Monday what we have done, but we are on the path of taking this initiative to each and every state within 60 days. So please support us. Please let us know. Call Gary or Clem, and it is contactk.com or the phone number written on the screen. Let us know if you want to represent any of the state. Gary has all the details. He can give you all the details about this, but please let us know. And thank you very much for joining this radio show. We know that today Gary has wonderful guests, especially from LA, and one of the county managers from Rockland County will be joining us, and Gary will be highlighting all this. Again, thank you very much. Again, I need to run. Happy Friday. I know Easter is coming, and I would like to thank everybody, and God bless.
Thank you very much. So basically, as he announced, we've kind of gotten already into 4 states. We made the announcement Monday that we're going into, the plan is, it's kind of crazy, 3,142 counties. So if you're out there, you're listening to us, and you have a heart for helping the African-American community or the Hispanic community, the Latinx community, in terms of being those that are in jail or out of jail, coming out of jail, please contact us at the number you have. There's another number up there. And we want to hear from you. We do want to hear from you because we want to launch this into 50 states. The plan is simple. We're looking for volunteers for about 3 months. Then we're going to be moving into getting a property, getting a home for the post-incarcerated youth, and then paying a salary. So there's a lot of things that we're doing. And I know that, Willie, you are the relationship manager. We have our first location in Strasburg, Pennsylvania. Willie, why don't you talk about that? And I just want to say, Angelica, feel free at any time to join in and ask questions. Go ahead, Willie. Tell us about what you're doing.
Well, I'm just glad to be here. Again, thank you guys for having me. We're doing a lot of things, in the community. We're working with the police department. We're working with the mayor's department. The people they're very happy about what we're doing about this initiative, taking the young men in and giving them somewhere to live, giving them training, and also giving them employment. And so we have become stars up here in the Pennsylvania area, where we have our property. We have the young men coming in. They're learning how to do their clothes. They're learning how to cook for themselves. They're learning how to take care of themselves all over again. And most of these young men, of an age, and they already know how to do things. But when you have some help, when you have somebody that says, listen, I'm watching you and you're going to make it. I'm not going to lose you to the streets. That means a lot to these young men, and they're on their best behavior, showing you how well they can do, how they're learning the computer, how they are learning how to be a help in the house. So it's been it has not been a challenge. It's been really a pleasure to be here and to be making such a meaningful change in our community. So I want to thank you, Brother Gary, and the whole group, our whole team, especially Dr. Khanna.
Thank you very much. What I'd like to do now is keep on delaying it. I'd like to introduce Angelica. She's here on the screen. And before we go on and talk about the initiative and the 3 locations. So I know, Angelica, that you're a producer. I know that you've been an actress. I think also a writer. But what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, is please give your background to us. We really want to. I want to give you justice.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm Angelica Robinson, founding producer, line producer, and executive in charge of Tell Me a Story Productions, which is a production company that specializes in multicultural edutainment centering around diverse leads, primarily those of the African American experience and diaspora, as well as Latinx, LGBTQ, and female leads. And so I've been in the business for over 20 years. I've had an extensive studio background, and I'm very, very, very happy to be here with you all.
We're very, very happy to have you. You told me about one of your TV shows that you're doing. I think it's on Instagram. We're thinking about inviting Dr. Khanna there. Tell us about that show. What's it called?
Yeah, that is the Savage Chat series. It is
Savage Chat. Oh,
yes,
maybe we shouldn't go, you know?
Oh, no, it's for savages of the culture, savages of the culture, for those that really, really, really care about policy and entertainment and education for those of diverse experiences, for Black and Latinx individuals, and just folks that can celebrate Black excellence. And it is created by and hosted by the Blairisms, Brandon Haley and Blair Haley. They are wonderful, wonderful hosts and wonderful, wonderful friends and producers. And, you know, everyone from Vanessa L. Williams to Jamie Harrison to April Ryan, so Roy Wood Jr. has been on the show. So we're very excited about the show. And yes,
that's fantastic.
Exciting.
Well, what we're thinking about, Angelica, I'm going to open let a little bit out of the bag is, we are courting you with quotes that we'd love to have you as a regular part of this, a co-host. And she's here to just test us out to see if make sure we're not rude, and to make sure that we get along. So we're excited about that possibility. We're going to be, we're going to be taking our time working through that issues. But give us, is there a website for that TV show, or your website that you can mention?
Yeah, I actually have multiple shows that are out. You can visit tellmeastoryproductions.com.
Tell me a story.
Just spell it all the way out. Tell me a story.
.com. All right, let's do it.
You can also visit The Gaze. That's GAZE, The Gaze. Series.com, which is one of the latest shows. And I'm actually on the set doing some key art photography with our lead actor, one of our DPs, camera operators, and another producer, and our makeup artist right now. So very excited about that. And I don't know if you guys can see this amazing robe that I have on is actually a robe that is designed by the Blairisms. Oh, can I stand up? I don't know.
You look great.
Yes, that is one of the designs of the Blairisms. They also have a clothing line. It's more than just the IGTV series, but it's speaking about culture through the clothing, activism through the clothing, as well as on the show.
Thank you very much. Well, we are inviting you to participate and jump in whenever you feel comfortable to ask questions. And we're really looking forward, Angelica. You're fantastic on screen. What do you think, Willie?
I think she's gorgeous.
Whoa, wait. I'm going to tell your wife you said that.
Well, my wife would say the same thing.
So
I acknowledge the queen that is your wife, Willie. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelica. I'd like to talk about what specifically we've done. We have Tom Hassan on. He's an attorney. He deals with a lot of immigration, but as a result of that, he also deals with troubled youth, minorities, a lot of minorities. So Thomas, I just want you, again, just tell us about yourself and the kind of cases you have, and then I'll introduce what you're doing for the initiative. Go ahead, Thomas. You're on mute. Go ahead. You have to unmute yourself.
Yep. Forgot I had it on mute. I'm an attorney in Rockland County. I've been an attorney here for 28 years. And all that time, I've been an immigration attorney. I started immigration, basically, the practice in the county of Rockland. When I started back in 1992, 93, I was basically the only one. So I've been doing it for 28 years. And we have a very high immigrant population here in Rockland County. We have in Spring Valley area, we have quite a number of Haitians, very large Haitian population, and now a very large Hispanic population. Back in 92, 93, when the Haitians were coming over on the boat from Haiti into Florida, I spent some time down there volunteering to help those folks with their cases. And I got quite a bit involved in the Haitian community. So over the years, that's what I've dealt with. And unfortunately, I've had thousands of immigration clients, but
Thousands.
unfortunately,
Wow. Thousands.
yeah. And people have other issues that they have good issues and they have bad issues. And some of those bad issues are there's crime, and we also handle quite a number of criminal cases.
Can you give some examples of your experience with post-incarcerated youth, someone coming out of prison, out of jail?
Yeah. I've had a number of clients. I do my best to keep them out of jail. So I don't have a lot of clients that went to jail. Thank the Lord for that one. But we do whatever we can to keep the youth, especially younger people, out of jail and put them into alternative programs. But for the ones that have gone into jail and have come out, I've dealt with a number of them, and we do what we can to see how to get them out of that environment. For me, I try to start early before that occurs, even in the alternative programs, to try and change their environment. I give you an example. I have one young man, a very, very, very sad case. And matter of fact, I saw his mom the other day, and both of us broke down in tears. He had a number of issues, drug-related issues, and got caught up with some very, very bad people. And under federal investigation, we, told him, he said to me, I gotta change. I gotta get out of the environment. I gotta get away from these people. And he says, Mr. Sasson, when you get me out of this stuff, I'm leaving. I'm going to change. And the case was still going on. And unfortunately, he just recently passed away from, right.
Oh, boy.
He did not make it out of that community. And it broke my heart to see his mom, and I hate to say it, he's not the only one like that. I've had too many clients have passed away. But on the other side, we also have had some success cases with some individuals that I think I mentioned it last time. One young man, very, very tied up in the drug community and dealing and so on. And he turned his whole life around. He did his time. He came out and we worked with him. He turned his whole life around. It was absolutely amazing. So there are some success cases, but unfortunately, too many wind up back in the same environment, same people, same friends. And I think, as you folks have said over and over, agree, they come out with a stigma that they've been a failure. They were stupid and they got caught and those types of things. And none of it's good. And you got to change their environment. You got to give them hope. You got to give them direction, and they got to earn dignity for themselves. Until they have their own dignity, it's not going to change.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to point out one thing that you mentioned, because we do have a video from Dr. Eric Braverman, MD. He couldn't join us, but he did I think a 4.5-minute video. He did some research. Willie, if you could mute yourself. I'm
sorry.
He did some research. It blew my mind. I'm going to ask everybody here. There's an official government term called SUD, okay, which has to do with the use of drugs. And there's a certain level that they say that you become dependent. So the estimate from the government or the United States government organization of the percentage, I want to ask, Angelica, what percent do you think of the prison population is deemed having a problem, an SUD, which is basically a drug problem?
Well, I think that's a question to consider of what are we what are we calling a drug problem? Are we talking about, little ancillary things like marijuana usage? Are we talking about, heroin and opioid addiction? I think that I may not be the best person to speak on that, but I think that it is important to qualify what type of what we're calling drugs and reevaluate that kind of that question.
Well, here it is. Let me give you the quote from the criminal justice fact system. The substantial prison population in the U.S. is strongly connected to drug-related offenses. That's not a surprise to anybody. While the exact number of inmates with SUDs, which is substance use disorder, okay, so when it gets to the point that it affects your lifestyle, it's deemed a disorder.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult to measure, but research has showed that estimated 65% of the United States prison populations have active substance use disorders, and another 20% don't meet the official criteria for an SUD, but they are under the influence of alcohol or drugs at the time of the crime. So that's a very high number. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to show the video, since we're talking about this, Dr. Braverman has. And he talks about this, and he is he's going to be a medical director. He is the medical director for our initiative, one of the two. We also have Dr. Soni. So we have two MDs. And part of our plan is we're going to provide medical, psychological, emotional counseling and therapy for these post-incarcerated youth if they want it or if they need it. Okay, you can't force somebody, so we wouldn't do that. But we have to address those hard issues to get the person on the right track. I'll give you an example. One of the organizations we partner with is a driving school, a CDL driving school that Willie introduced us to. And they've been doing this to post-incarcerated youth for 25 years. Now, they've put about 260 people, post-incarcerated young adults, through their program, because they can only do so many at a time. But the national recidivism rate or rearrest rate is 55% in 12 months, which means that on the average, everybody coming out of jail, you got a better than 50% chance they're going to be back in jail in 12 months. This program had a 95% success rate. And over the 25 years, 95% did not go back into prison. However, what they learned is that when people come out of prison, when they have these drug issues, they have the attitude, they are come into the program trying to game the system. So what they're trying to do is to game the system to get to the point where they are trying to, quote unquote, get by. So what they have found is that when you work with these young adults, continue to work with them, they're beginning to realize that there is a benefit to what this program to them, and they begin to change. And we've seen that. Haven't you seen that, Willie? So I am going to show Dr. Braverman's video. Hello, Clem, welcome. We'll get to you in a minute. And let's just listen to Dr. Eric Braverman be talking about post-incarceration drug use.
This is Eric Braverman, MD. For 40 years, I've been working on addictive behavior and how to break addiction and break addictive behavior, break drinking cycles, break marijuana cycles. Now, virtually 60% of the criminal population or the prison population in the United States is related to substance abuse disorders, and another 20% have some substance problem. So what is the issue? The United States has to teach its citizens, and that's what we're doing, teach you how to get reward out of the usual things, which is usually we say work, play, love, pray. So how do we get pleasure? Like every day I get pleasure out of certain types of work, certain types of spirituality. How do we get that maximized so that you break the addiction cycle and the substance use cycle? Well, there are many things that add every day. What we now know is that sugar is one of the most addictive substances, and we want to switch the sugar addict to fresh fruit, raspberries, blackberries, apples, pears, strawberries. Always, whenever you have a sugar appetite, if you can, go find fruit. And if you can't settle for fruit, go with sweets that have enzymes and nutrients in them, like honey or maple syrup. You know that honey is one of the longest lasting self-preserved foods. The honey found in ancient Egypt inside the pyramids, some of the bottles were 2,500 to 3,000 years old, and you could still eat the honey. It's so viscous that you can't grow bacteria in it. So honey is a different type of sweetener. So if you're going to have sweets besides fruit, then you want to go to honey and maple syrup. So it's very important that you get the dopamine raise. You have to have energy. Now, everybody likes to use caffeine beverages. There's still no substitute for coffee and green tea. Black tea can be tolerated by some, but you better antidote to tea with either milk or soy milk. Most men and women have milk allergies as they get older. They can't digest it. So soy milk is very good. Half and half has cream in it, so it's a little more tolerated. Lactate is very, very good, and you have to watch the sweetener. You have to use stevia as a sweetener. Then, as you get into finding tasty things, you got to delay gratification. So the art of really being healthy is the art of putting off the high of certain foods for the high of accomplishment and the high of relationships. So putting an investment into those areas critical. Now we have supplements that will cut the appetite for sugar and for alcohol and for marijuana. Alcohol and marijuana tend to be the gateway. Before people get to heroin and narcotics and other things, they tend to use too much alcohol and marijuana, sugar, and junk food. So once we can get to that level of controlling that, we may not progress into the full-blown narcotics. Pain, you're much better using Tylenol and Advil for pain. And there are nutrients. You can't underestimate how much better fish is as a food. Fish is an anti-pain brain nutrient. So fish oils are available by prescription, and they help antidote pain. It's critical to get on to the DL-phenylalanine, which has some pain antidote cycle. There are natural pain inhibitors called COX-2 inhibitors, and they are able to significantly cut your overall pain cycle. You constantly have to manage pain. Pain is a marker that you're not taking care of your brain. So I'm going to give you more of these 5-minute talks where I'm going to teach you how to defeat marijuana with GABA. I'm going to teach you how to reduce pain with GABA and fish oil. I'm going to teach you how to exercise. All right, we're out of time, but we're going to save the prison population, and the Spirit of God is upon me, and I feel anointed to heal you and to bless you. This is Eric Braverman, MD.
Okay, that was a mouthful. There was a lot there. I thought it was really interesting. Those percentages are really interesting, really high. 65% are involved with SUDs. So substance use disorder. So we've got to be prepared to handle that when we take these youth out of the prison, out of jail, out of anybody who's been arrested for any reason. We will take them into the program. So we're interested, and as you know, we are going out to all 50 states in 60 days. We've gotten 4 done, so we've got 60 days to do what's 4 negative 50. That's 46. Angela, what do you think about that?
You know, I really think that, you know, I appreciate what the medical experts do express with, it's funny because with what the doctor was just recently talking about, and talking about sugar addiction, and speaking to that, as opposed to as like as just as addictive as a drug as you know, cocaine. It literally is. And it's one of those things where I think that health by itself, as we are all learning throughout, you know, 2020, health by itself is knowledge and is wealth. And if we can all educate ourselves to take care of our bodies in a better way, we can make better choices that would not put us in situations that could, you know, that could systemically harm us, or put us in incarcerated types of situations. And so taking care of your physical body is part of that process to getting yourself back on a path that can be a productive lifestyle, that can be a lifestyle where you're able to then focus and be a contributing member of society, and you don't have to necessarily do other things that would put your life or someone else's life in jeopardy, or have you be incarcerated. And something to really look at in a bigger way, and really examine the health aspect and resources to getting proper health foods.
Thank you very much. I want to welcome Clem, your boy. He's just joined. Clem, if you're walking around, what we could do is I do want to go through the 4 states that we've introduced, but I want to welcome you to just jump in as we talk about the 50 states in 60 days. 50 states in 60 days. So Clem, I don't know if now's a good time. Can you join in?
Yes, I can join in now.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I need you to also know is that we are live on a Haitian radio, live model radio.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Right. So it's out of Spring Valley, and the area around Spring Valley can tune into that. 88.9 FM, and that's where they can hear a lot more from us.
Well, that's fantastic. So we're on 93, 9:30 a.m. and 89. What was it again?
88.9 FM.
Sorry, 80. Wow, that's 88.9. So we're on AM and FM at the same time. That's fantastic.
Right.
Thanks for putting that together, Clem.
Right,
so we're going to talk about the 4 states. Listen, I want you to jump in as we go through each one of them, and I want to talk about each one individually. So first, I want to talk about the first state. I think we were talking about was basically Priya, as you can see her wonderful picture here. She's going to be leading the efforts in DuPage and Cook counties in Illinois. Now, Cook County, I think everybody knows, includes Chicago. So we're pretty excited about her doing that. She's carrying two counties and one of the largest cities in the country there. Go ahead, Clem. Any comments about Chicago and DuPage counties?
Well, I know very little about Chicago, so but you know, it's one of the leading cities in the country. So I'm excited that we are making we're setting foot in a predominantly minority city like Chicago. I'm excited. I mean, I am really excited about that. I know that we are looking at other cities that have huge minority populations, and let's not forget that out of Chicago, President Obama had, come out of that general locale, and what he has done to help, move forward the minority populations, we can never forget that. So knowing that we are going to his backyard to do something, I'm just using this to throw a challenge to him. Hey, Mr. Obama, can you come and, hold our hands and lead us into your backyard?
I'm sure Angelica has Obama on her speed dial, so that'll be no problem.
I wish. I wish.
No,
if only.
Just a little fib there. Also, we made now. So that announcement was Tuesday. So also on Wednesday, we have on the phone with us here and also on the video. Again, you can see our wonderful faces at facebook.com at Connor4Kids. Thomas Hassan, the attorney who is with us. We're very excited. Thank you, Thomas. You're right in my home county. You're right in Clem's home county. He's volunteered to be the county manager. We're trying to find a full-time person. Okay, so he's just volunteering for now, but we're going to be finding a full-time person. So Thomas, I just want you to talk about, thank you for doing this. And I know you just got involved, but we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. No problem, Gary. As I said to you earlier today, I want to help out. I want to learn more about the whole initiative and do what I can, and I look forward to having a more extensive conversation about it. But I think from what I do know, what you guys are doing is a wonderful, wonderful initiative. And just to speak to Dr. Braverman, that was excellent. I look forward to hearing his other little lessons, as he said, but I can't argue with those numbers, because in my experience, almost every serious criminal case I've had was related to drugs and alcohol.
Wow.
And either it's directly related or indirectly related. You don't have a $500 a day cocaine habit, without getting involved in dealing or other types of crimes. So is that
typical? Is that typical $500 a day? Is that
more? I'm just throwing out a number. More.
How do you sustain that?
How would you sustain it? By dealing or by stealing?
Dealing or stealing?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a poet. You're a poet there.
Absolutely. Well, those are the facts. I mean, it's amazing. Or having come directly from those issues in terms of being high or being intoxicated, and whether it's drinking and driving or domestic violence or other types of violent crimes, it's all related. So those numbers are 65%. I would even think it's higher than that, but he knows much better than I. But in my experience, it's almost all of them, and that needs to be addressed, because these guys really, they get help in the system, but when they come out, they need to continue that help, and that's right where you guys come in. Is great stuff. Really got to focus on that.
I just want to Gary. I think it's really important to kind of look at what is putting individuals, those youth, in those types of situations in the first place. We need to examine those types of things of why the only option is dealing or stealing, as Thomas eloquently put it. Like why are Black and brown youth in those situations in the first place? And we know the answer to that. It's systemic racism, and we need to address that part of it as a whole, so that we can reduce the need for programs like this. But of course, we need this program right now, because there's, you know, we have so many years of the systemic racism. So then how do we then recalculate that and address that now while we are outside and, you know, and able to do something about it? What types of policies and legislations can we address as well to put types of programs in place so that students are not, or so that youth are not in those situations in the first place? If we can get them off the corner and into internship programs prior to them going into some type of into the system, then it can, you know, we can see how we can really better these youth lives. And then on the post side of that, also getting them into different types of mentorship programs, internship programs, work programs, job work programs, so that they can sustain and live and all that other good stuff. So anyway, I'm just
everything you said is absolutely true, but the key to being successful is having a focus. So our focus right now is only post-incarceration. We're not focused on legislation. We're not focused on lobbying. We're focused on connecting with those people when they come out, because the Reformation Act really is concentrating on the first two steps: pre-incarceration, safety, or incarceration. We want to address post-incarceration. So that's kind of what we're doing. I also wanted to
I mean, it's a good point about focus, but I think what was just said is also very critical, because in doing what we do, remember, we're going to use peer counselors, and the peer counselors are going to be helping those who are coming out. We want to turn those who come through our program into peer counselors to help the young people in the street so that they don't follow the same pattern. So by turning them into peer counselors, we help to stem the flow of new blood into the prison system.
New arrests, or stopping arrest, yes.
Right. Well, it's not just a recidivism that we are stopping, but we just don't want fresh blood to enter the system.
Right.
Okay.
By stopping recidivism, we're stopping crime at the same time.
Right.
So yeah, so that's our goal. And although, and Edward, thanks for joining. I don't know if you heard the comment, but Angela was talking about systemic racism and how that affects the whole prison system and the African-American community. I know that's a big issue for you. I don't know if you got a chance to hear that, but I'd love to hear your comment.
You know, Gary, you're a big man. I appreciate you looping back, because what Angelica, I can't read your last name. Angelica, is it Robinson?
Robinson, yes. Like Miss Robinson.
Yeah. Welcome, welcome. I've been doing this show with these guys for a little while. I'm glad that you're here. I heard a lot of great things about you. Hello, Clem, Thomas, Willie. Good afternoon. Yeah.
Does it mean that now you're going to shift your focus from Clem to Miss Robinson? That's good.
Can you blame her? Hey, Clem, can you blame him? You can't blame him.
No. Oh, let's not go there.
You guys are bad.
Here it is. Here's the issue I would like to share with you. As a man who is Black, from Washington, D.C., major city in Washington, major city in the United States of America. I'm a journalist. I'm a former spokesman for the prison system. So I've been in and out of prisons for more than a decade, not only as spokesman, but also as, if you will, a client. I've been falsely arrested, taken to court through what they call systemic racism. And to me, systemic is a big word. I can't touch a system, but there are individuals within the system. See, there's nothing wrong with the system. There's nothing wrong with the system. It's the people who twist the system to their own personal desires. Sometimes those desires are very violent and hateful. And yes, you can't separate this America from all the issues, especially when it comes to Black Americans. So yes, we're going to stay focused on the returning home, the returning dreams, but don't let those returning dreams become returning nightmares.
No,
Must address, it doesn't have to be through legislation. Dr. Braverman talked about health and spirituality. Okay, and if we got to realize that racism and white supremacy is a disease, it is a public health danger. And I just want to finalize on one point. I had an idea today. We have to make put our interactions with police safer. We have to make the police safer for us. Okay, but I do want to follow back because I know Clem will back me up on this. It does start with self-determination. It starts with what I say, the first thing we learn in life, I believe, is what not to do. We teach our children, don't touch that stove. Don't do this. So it's very important what not to do. We have to keep focused on not to do with young people. We have to reinforce that. Well, they hear that too much, but listen, if we focus on keeping them on the right track, that means keeping them off the wrong track. So spirituality, love, and self-determination, it makes sense.
Well, I think you're giving me an idea, Clem. Let me run it by you. Maybe a piece of our program should be to how to train people to properly deal with law enforcement, so they don't get rearrested again. That's a possibility because you're mentioning that.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's
yeah,
what,
but
absolutely.
is it the people or is it the law enforcement that's the problem? We
It's
really need to
probably
examine
both, yeah.
that.
Well, let me jump in for a minute. I have 8 boys, and each one of us have had that conversation on how to deal with being pulled over by the police, how to deal with being stopped in a store or walking with security. And I think that has to be a part of the program because we have young people today, they're angry, very angry. And that anger comes out, especially, with law enforcement, because they feel as though that is not fair. It's not a fair playing field. So therefore, they're going to be very, they're going to be very angry, and that's going to show in their the way they act and the way they treat law enforcement. And so you get what you send out. If you treat someone with respect, they're most likely going to respect you. But if you come at them in a negative way, they're going to take offense right off the bat. So therefore, all of my boys, and even in the home here for the returning youth and the young men that I'm dealing with right now, we sit down and we have that conversation, how to deal with law enforcement. Gary, Clem, you have to make that a part of the program because it will save lives.
That's fantastic. Well, we'll
That
definitely do
respect
that.
needs to go both ways, Willie. That respect needs, like the kids, that yes, they have to have respect, but those officers need to respect those Black and brown bodies, those youth,
yes,
as humans too.
yes,
You
but
know?
over the decades, that has not been the case.
No,
We're looked
hasn't.
at in a certain way in the inner cities. And so you can take an officer from the suburban trying to, increase his wealth, trying to move up the ladder. And when he looks at, and not all, but when they look at Black young men, they see a problem. So even if they're not a problem, they're looking at them as though they are a problem. So therefore, you almost have to, with my kids, when they're stopped, the first thing they do is put down their windows, and if at night they turn on their lights in the car and they hang their hands out the window. This is so the officer knows there's no threat. He has no, I'm looking at his hands, I'm looking in the car, and why do I have to do that? I shouldn't have to do that, but I have to do that because I would like, and I want my son to return home. So therefore, yes, they have to show respect too. But when you have the gun, you kind of like call the shots at that point in time. So you want to know how, if you want to take that officer to court, if you want to press charges on for whatever reason, you want to make it there. So therefore, if you're somewhere and you're disrespecting or they're disrespecting you and you don't know how to deal with that, you got a problem.
Okay, thank you. I think we're definitely going to include that, Clem. I want to continue here because I want to continue with the initiative where we've been introduced this week. We've already went through New Jersey. We talked about Illinois. I now would like to talk about, believe it or not, Montana. We have Carrie Anderson has been appointed as county manager in Ravelli and Missoula County, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, in Montana. She's been involved with post-incarcerated youth in the past, and she's looking forward to continuing and introducing people into our program. So we're excited about that. And then just today, I just do want to introduce one more. I want to introduce one more person, and who is part of, who will be part of the announcement that we made. And that is this gentleman. And I can only pronounce his last name, which I believe is Gatapathi. So there you go. And he is going to be in New Jersey, Burlington County, New Jersey. So he is a county manager there. He is in the process of establishing and managing the initiative in the county, serving the African-American Latinx community to reduce recidivism. He's blessed with 2 daughters, and he'll be taking part of this. So that's 4 places this week. We're going to continue every day. If you want to get involved in your county, please give us a call at 914. Let's get the number here. 914-893-5060, 914-893-5060. And also, if you're in New York and New Jersey area, Rockland County, if you have an immigration issue, you'd like to get in touch with Thomas Hassan, the immigration expert, please call that number. We'll put you in touch with him, 914-893-5060, 914-893-5060. If you have an immigration issue, we'll be happy to help you. He'll be happy to help you. He's partnering with Dr. Khanna and with the Returning Youth Initiative. I want to circle back to Clem. Clem, I want you to talk about the 50 states in 60 days. We have about 6 minutes left.
Well, I mean, yes, though it sounds a little bit daunting, I just want to say that we are going to do it. We can do it, and we will do it. In this space, what we really have to do is to look at it as a movement. Once we see it as a movement, we don't see it as Eddie being the person going from state to state doing anything. No, we don't see Clem going from state to state doing anything. No. Therefore, what we're looking for is, if you have any person anywhere in the United States of America who can lead us to local nonprofits, local community organizations, local law enforcement, local people in government, whatever the relationship is that we can develop to facilitate setting up a home, setting up certain businesses that we want to set up. A part of the businesses we want to train these young men in will be, it will be based on the franchise model. We will have CDL trainings in there. We're going to have florist shops. We're going to have barber shops, salons, spas. So whatever facility that we can get to establish these businesses and to establish, governmental support and law enforcement support. When we were in Elizabeth, New Jersey, we interfaced with the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation, DVR. We interface with them. We interface with the police and the sheriff's office. So we want to engage all the factors that the key stakeholders that make society crime-free. We want to engage with the pastors of churches. We want to engage with the rabbis, whoever is in a place that they can help us to influence any changes in their community. We are not looking at a specific I guess, a formula for doing this. Our simple formula is there are, I should say, there are people in the communities who have gifts, who have talents, who have whatever you have, and you can put it on the table, we will take it.
I want to highlight what you said because I think it's important. I have interviewed a number of these post-incarcerated youth. And to me, I was surprised. But after I thought about it, I shouldn't have been surprised. I was surprised how many of them said, I want to own my own business. They're coming out of jail. They've had issues. They've got nothing, and they want to own their own business. And after I thought about it and I talked some more to them, the opportunities they have, since they have a record, many of them can't go to corporations. Many young people, I have 3 young daughters, they're not happy with the corporate world. Corporate world is becoming more and more difficult these days. So they're really interested, Clem, and I was surprised, they want to own their own business. So what we're going to do is we're going to fulfill that dream. You want to?
Yes. See, here's the thing, our good friend, the attorney, stated it. You deal or you steal. Okay. What do they have? They have the skills for dealing. Okay. They have the entrepreneurial spirit.
I was going to say that's the entrepreneurial spirit. That's exactly.
There you go.
Exactly it.
They have it. So what we have to do is to look at their strengths and work with their strengths. All right. Yes. So that's what we need to do. You steal or you deal. We want them to deal, but we want them to deal in the right, on the right side of the law, doing the right things and making money for themselves.
Okay, we got about 60 seconds here.
Yes,
and that's what we want to do. I just want to remind everybody, we're on the air every Friday at 3 p.m. Please tell your friends. We're on 6 social networks, but we always advertise at facebook.com, Khanna 4 kids, facebook.com, Khanna 4 kids. We are excited about the 4 locations that we launched, but we need your help to get to 50 in 60 days. Thomas, thank you so much for joining us and volunteering for Rockland County. Angela, thank you for joining us. Edward,
Angelica, and where can they donate?
Look at her. Whoa, she's a pro. Just go to returningyouth.com. Go ahead, you tell them. You got 10 seconds. 10 seconds.
Returningyouth.com. Visit now and donate, please.
Thank you all. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week. Everybody stay on the phone, and thank you very much.
God bless.
God bless. So we're